It was just before sunrise when David, a newly assigned ranger in Serengeti National Park, laced up his boots for what seemed like another routine day. But nothing about this day would be ordinary. As the golden haze lit the savannah and the sounds of distant wildlife echoed through the open plains, David had no idea that something extraordinary was about to unfold. A life-changing moment was already in motion, one that would forever reshape the way he viewed the animal kingdom and himself. While monitoring a watering hole near the eastern boundary of the reserve, David noticed movement in the tall grass. At first, he expected it to be a herd of antelope or perhaps a leopard on the hunt. But what emerged was a lone lioness. Lean, limping, and clearly exhausted, she was not hunting. She was searching, and her eyes, desperate, strained, and wide, locked onto David's with an intensity that made him freeze. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then, to his disbelief, she stepped forward, and something small wobbled out from behind her legs. A cub, frail, frightened, and barely able to stand. David's breath caught in his throat. The lioness slowly advanced, her body trembling with effort. As she reached him, she stopped just a few feet away. Her amber eyes were glossy, filled with pain, but not for herself. With a weak nudge of her head, she pushed the cub forward. Toward him, it was not aggression. It was not confusion. It was trust. David stood paralyzed. What was she doing? Why would a wild lioness bring her cub to a human? It defied every natural instinct. And yet, there it was, raw, silent communication. She needed his help. Suddenly, the lioness collapsed. David rushed forward and crouched near her. She was breathing, but shallowly. Her paws were torn, her body bruised, and something sharp jutted from her side. A poacher's crude weapon. It became clear. She had been injured, but instead of hiding or dying in silence, she had traveled miles to reach a human. Not just any human, him. Without wasting a second, David radioed the ranger base. I have a wounded lioness. I need emergency medical assistance now. And she brought her cub with her. While waiting, he wrapped his arms around the cub. It did not resist. It only whimpered softly, curling against his chest. David looked at the mother and realized she had come not to save herself, but to save her child. When the veterinary team arrived, they sedated the lioness and placed her gently on a stretcher. The cub refused to be separated from her, so David rode along, holding the tiny creature the entire way. At the field hospital deep within Serengeti, the team worked. For hours, the lioness had lost a dangerous amount of blood. The weapon lodged in her side had punctured muscle and tissue. Worse still, infection had begun to spread. David stayed by the door, clutching the cub like a guardian. The staff allowed him to stay, something they rarely did, because they could sense that something unusual was taking place. This was not a rescue. It was something more. A bond had formed. Over the next week, David rarely left the lioness's side. He named her Sahara for her strength and fire. The cub, who now responded to David's voice, was called Kio, a symbol of survival. With every passing day, Sahara regained strength, but it was Kio who changed the most. He stopped trembling. He began to play. He began to trust. David had never cared for a wild cub before, but somehow his instincts matched Kio's needs. Feeding him, cleaning him, comforting him, it became his mission. His bond with Kio grew stronger with each moment. But the truth loomed. They could not keep a lioness and cub forever in the medical ward. One day, Sahara would need to return to the wild. David knew this. He also knew it would break his heart. Weeks later, Sahara was declared strong enough for release. A protected area was chosen, secluded, safe, and far from poaching zones. The team transported her there at dawn, with David once again holding Keo tightly as they rode beside her. She was awake this time, calm, eyes fixed on David. When the gate of the carrier opened, she stepped out slowly, inhaling the wild air. She looked around, then turned and waited. David placed Keo gently on the grass. The cub paused, looking back at him, and then, with a tiny roar, he scampered toward his mother. The moment their bodies touched, Sahara let out a low, rumbling sound, not of pain, not of warning, but of peace. David stepped back, not wanting to disturb the reunion. But Sahara did something no one expected. She walked up to him and bowed her head. The camera traps later showed her doing something even more extraordinary, pressing her paw against a nearby tree and leaving a deep scratch, as if to say, "This is our place. This is where we found hope." That tree became a symbol. The park installed a plaque beside it, not with fanfare, but with humility. It read, "Where trust crossed species and changed two lives forever." Months passed. David continued his ranger duties, but with a new purpose. He had seen what trust could do. He had felt what love from the wild truly meant. One cool morning, as David patrolled the same area again, something moved in the distance. It was Sahara, and beside her, taller now, stronger Keo. They stood still, watching. Then Sahara nudged Keo forward, and for a brief, surreal moment, Keo ran toward David, brushed against his leg, and ran back. That single moment told him everything they remembered, and they were grateful. What would you have done if a wild lioness gave you her cub? Would you trust her the way David did? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this story touched your heart, give it a like, and share it with someone who believes in the power of connection between man and nature.